This is the second video of my Corona Girl. Again, like I said in the last one, I don't know where the name came from. Maybe it's just because it's on the top of everyone's mind right now. But she's the Corona Recovery Girl. We'll just call her a superhero, or someone that represents hope, right? That sounds great. So this is the one where I just go over all the shading technique. This is my 1 minute time lapse that you're watching right here in the beginning, followed by me going over with the red crayon over all the different parts and how I did it and how I made decisions about shading. And so that one's a little bit more instructive. If you want to call this a tutorial, whatever, go for it. But that is what it looks like. It's going to be super cool in the end, I pray. And then after this, you'll see some more steps such as coloring and other such like stuff. So hope you enjoy. Thank you. Okay, so this is our model. And underneath all of these layers, I have placed a new shade layer. How exciting is that? You know, it looks like the light is coming definitely overhead. I don't want to say it's necessarily straight from this side, but it might be. It might be from the front just a smidge. So if I could illustrate that in how I formulate my arrow here, that looks more like it, right? You got that, like, you got this nice, very 3D looking arrow. Very good. Okay, so there comes our light. I'm gonna spell that out of, actually, I'm gonna try that again one more time. There is our light, and so that means on the opposite side, right, there should be some shadow, right? So over here is where we see some shadow. Okay, cool. So shade. Great, right? Very nice. You know, you'll notice perhaps that the only thing that I did not shade was this green shawl. I suppose if it was opaque, I could have done something like this. Make sure I you know, shaded it appropriately, like so, something like that. Definitely not in red, but instead, I always have looked at the shawl as something transparent, so just wanted to, so definitely transparent. So that's what I'm thinking for that. A couple of the most satisfying things to shade have definitely been this skirt, so check this out. What do we got here? We have the light coming in, again, this direction, and we have the shade in this layer underneath this upper frill, right? The shade is definitely over on that side. And let's see, we have the shade covering up this area underneath. You know, and if you look closely, you can tell I was not being utterly careful, and I think that's what's important. I learned this term only by watching videos on YouTube, and it's called pixel peeping. Pixel peeping is, if you haven't heard of it, which I guess I'm just so new at Photoshop that I don't know about this stuff, but it's where you get so close, you're concerned about pixels. Check out those pixels. Ooh, and look at the size of my brush. I don't know if you can see that. Whoa, how neat, right? Nevertheless, Control 0 on the keypad snaps it to full screen. So a neat thing that I did with the shade was I added shade over the entire body and then used a soft, so hard shade and then a soft brush on the eraser to get rid of some of that. And to make it look a little bit more soft, as if it was stretching and there wasn't something close to it. Because one thing you'll notice is that when the shadow is closer to something rigid, like let's say the hair, the shadow should look sharper. When it gets further away, say right here, the shadow should look softer. And so right here, you know, shadow, where's this? What's blocking this? What's making this shadow right here? It's probably some hair things right here. It's maybe some of the face. And so it's far enough away that this does not have to look sharp. However, I did want something in the nose to look pretty sharp. Something underneath the nose looks sharp. Right under the lips looks sharp. And then over the chin. Over the chin, it is softer. I probably could have made this a little bit sharper, but I wanted to make sure that this line did not mean there was a hard stop right there. It's not a crease we're looking at. This line is just, I don't know what we'll call it, the event horizon, where it disappears and blends with the skin. So I made it soft all the way down this spot. So right over here, right over here, I wasn't too worried about it. Let it be a little messy. Over here, definitely had some sharp spots because of these frills, I'll call them floofy sleeves, have added shadows that are very, very close to it. So that's where they came from. And again, whatever is causing a shadow over the chest is far enough away that, let's say it was the shoulder or the frills right there, it fades away right in that spot right there. So that's neat. Let's see, so right here on the hand, pretty sharp shadow, not too worried about it. Over here, shadow got a little bit sharper. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have it go in and out, but I utilize the softness to give that curve for the bicep to have some muscle tone right there. So it's curve here and curve here. And these are soft shadows versus this one, where this shadow comes up abruptly because the space is shorter right here. And so the shadow would look a little bit sharper. Over here, space is not as short, and so it's a little softer looking. Those are my thinking. Over here, this probably could have been a little less sharp, but because it's in the distance, I just wanted to make sure we understand what it is, what we're looking at there. But again, sharp under here. I didn't worry about softening anything around here because we had such distinct lines. And again, down here, this is pretty satisfying to shade this because we know where the shadow is. And again, following the shadow, the line I made here follows the line I made here. Maybe it goes a little bit further. Maybe it is like kind of cutting off because of things above it. This one is cutting off fairly sharply. This cuts off fairly sharply, does not follow these frills. And that works out just fine. So I don't have to worry about it. The hair, the hair is going to be a whole nother shading thing. There's going to be all kinds of different things in and out of this, and we're going to change this probably quite a bit as I move forward, so I'm not too worried about it. But I just wanted to share how thrilled I am that I am pulling off some good shadowy things right here. And that's all I got. So I'm going to get rid of these layers referring to the light because I actually was just drawing that on top of my shade layer, and no one needs to do that. So there it is. Please subscribe. Check out my other stuff on my channel if you want to see how I'm going, how things are going with my tutorials that are not really tutorials. They're me practicing and testing things out. But what is so fun is that, I get to make things that look like this, and I can do it really fast because I kind of came prepared with a skill of drawing, something that I haven't done in a very long time. But there it is, I can draw shapes and things that look like people, and that is a very satisfying experience. So again, my favorite part is most certainly the sketching part. I love that. I love leaving things kind of messy looking. As you can see right here, some lines are still left over. But there's nothing wrong with that. I think your art is whatever you want it to be. Obviously, I feel like this is knowledge we should all have. Common knowledge. Art is what you make it. And you better start making stuff. There's a couple of things that could probably change about the anatomy. I think I'm noticing that this ear is a little high, and it's a little farther away from where it ought to be. Maybe I'd move it down just a smidge. But I'll worry about that another time. Thank you for watching.